Welcome, auto dealers. My name is Jill Nicolini, and you're watching Auto Dealer News with all the latest and greatest in the automotive dealer world. We will be speaking with leaders in the automotive sales industry about the newest trends, technology, marketing, and sales strategies that will push your dealership or automotive group to be the best it can be. With us, as always, is the CEO of Dealer Source Group and Universal Marketing Solutions, automotive sales trainer and business entrepreneur with over 15 years of producing outstanding results in the automotive retail industry, our very own automotive guru, Richie Bello.
Thank you, Jill, so much. Today's topic of the show is going to be talking about PPC versus display ads.
Ralph Paglia is the founder and president of ADM Consulting, LLC, serving clients like Ford, GM, Toyota, J.D. Power and Associates, and several retail dealer groups in Texas, California, New Mexico, and Nevada. He also served as vice president of digital at Tier 10 Marketing from January 2011 until the AMP launch in April 2012, where he designed and blueprinted the daily operating processes which deliver digital marketing, advertising, and social media services for car dealers and automotive groups, and establish strategic alliances with companies such as Google, Facebook, Microsoft advertising, software suppliers, advertising networks, and technology companies that Tier 10 Marketing continues to leverage for delivering best-in-class digital marketing, advertising, and social media. Well, he's here with us today. How are you doing, Ralph?
Thank you, Jill. I really appreciate the introduction. And Richie, it's a pleasure to be on your show, and I look forward to having a great session.
Great. So, Ralph, how are you? You doing good, no?
Yeah. I'm back in Las Vegas. I was in Southern California for a period of time for a particular dealer that I was working for. As much as I was happy to get away from Las Vegas, for some odd reason, I missed this town, and so now I'm back. And I just moved back. In fact, I don't know if you see in the background, but there's a lot of moving boxes and stuff that has to be unpacked yet.
That's great. It's great seeing you, Ralph.
Great seeing you, Richie.
So, Ralph, I wanted to talk to you about, because you know a lot of knowledge, but, like the biggest thing is this PPC. These dealers are spending so much money on Google AdWords. And I hear it all the time on the clickable side, and I go to dealerships, my ROI's not there. So they're on 1 month, and then some dealers get an ROI and some don't, and they go crazy. They start spending, especially if the half of the month they're not there. They increase their budget, and then at the end of the month, that statement comes out. The general manager goes crazy. It doesn't happen. The one that's really making money is Google, and then they stop for 2 months because they exceeded all their budgets, and nobody really knows about Google. I mean, I'm a Google certified partner, with Clickable and with USMMP, and I try to coach these dealers where their best buck is, and you know me for a while now. You know that I believe a lot in prospecting. That's what I believe a lot in. I believe in prospecting customers and their repeat business. That's what I do because I see an opportunity there all the time. You can promote on PPC and get new customers, but you always got to concentrate on your previous customers, right? And that's how I think they're going to increase. What are your thoughts on that as a professional digital marketing that you are?
Well, first of all, just in the past year, if I were to look at my experiences in 2017, I've seen budgets being spent by dealerships on Google AdWords, PPC, that I never in my wildest dreams imagined dealers spending. I'm talking $120,000 a month for a single rooftop store, and even higher, as unbelievably as it might sound. And in some ways, I think what Google has done, much to their credit and very much to making their shareholders happy, is we've often referred to the bidding system when we're trying to sell cars as a race to the bottom. Well, with Google, I think what they've established is a race to the top, where you get these incredible bids on keywords such as the brand or used cars, Los Angeles, going for $10 a click and things like that. So at a certain level, you really have to say to yourself, do I want to participate in this to that degree? Do I want to have my budget mixed in there with these real expensive clicks because I'm chasing after the person searching for these particular queries. And here's what I always say to dealers. I say, nobody's born saying, I'm going to go to Google and search for Fords in Southern California, or whatever the search query is. Something prompts that, something triggers that, and that's where display advertising comes in. We know there's a direct connection between display advertising and the search queries that people put out. In fact, in one particular instance up in Oregon, when I was working for the Lithium Motors group up there, we created a word that hadn't existed before, and we display advertised it quite extensively, millions of impressions, and lo and behold, this word, which had never shown up in a Google search query, starts showing up in Google search queries by the thousands. So we know that there's a direct connection between what a dealer advertises in display and what people search for. I'm not downplaying the importance of pay-per-click and Google search. I believe it's an important part. It has to be there, and dealers need to be there to get, the right customers. However, one thing I would disagree with is I don't think pay-per-click and Google search should be exclusively around conquest business. I believe that you can target your previous customers using it, and oftentimes quite inexpensively, because of the quality score that you're going to achieve, and because of the fact that you may be going for a longer tail keyword. I do believe that I see more opportunities in display advertising than I do see in pay-per-click. And pay-per-click, let's face it, everybody's in the game now. I started teaching dealers how to do pay-per-click 15 years ago. And by now, everybody's doing it. You've got companies out there that are managing budgets because the OEM has mandated that particular supplier. And what they're challenged with, and I've been there, I've been brought in and asked to help, what they're challenged with is they have this huge amount of budget when it's added up for all the dealers that are participating, and yet they're all bidding on the same words. So between the geo-targeting to try to reduce, the overlap, which doesn't always work as effectively as you think it's going to do, and between the very fact that these suppliers are oftentimes using up all the budget, not giving any money back, making sure there's nothing left on the table, which is their job. Their job is they get a budget. If you give them $10,000 a month, they don't want to come back and say, hey, we only need to spend $8,500. We got you all the best clicks. They're going to spend the full $10,000 one way or another. That's why when I'm in New York, I see ads for Los Angeles dealers, that are published by the company mandated by the OEM. So there's a lot of turmoil out there. There's a lot of inefficiencies going on. There's certainly room for improving what we've got going on with digital advertising. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Talking to you before the show started, I'm fascinated with the model that your company has. There's a little bit of mystery in there for me because I haven't learned everything about it. But the 15 cent a click obviously sounds pretty attractive, certainly better. But there's a lot going on out there, Richie. And I think when it comes to customer retention, let's face it, it's always been easier to reach out and communicate with people that have already bought cars from us. And especially because we know how long ago they bought their car. We know how many payments they've made. We know what the car's worth. We have all this knowledge. So that should be first. Our marketing efforts should focus on our previously sold customer base first. And when we use that up, and now we go for conquest. And unfortunately, what we always see in our business is conquest first, retention as an afterthought. And I believe that's wrong. I think the more economical or the stronger return on marketing investment, ROMI, is going to come from our existing customer base. And there's other sources too. TrueCar shouldn't be the only company that develops affinity with large employer organizations. I've seen several dealers be very successful at looking at who the big companies are that employ people in their area and developing an affinity, having a page on that company's website, and likewise, that company has a page on the dealer's website. I think there's a lot to be done before we start boiling the ocean out there on the internet with pay-per-click search and spending all our money there. I think the dollars are better spent going after our previously sold customers. Come on, it's a lot easier to get them to click on the ad. It's a lot easier to get them to contact us. It's a lot easier to recognize them when they visit our websites. It's a lot easier to see them when they come into our showroom floor. What would you rather take, a fresh up or that guy you've sold 3 cars to over the last 10 years?
Right, prospecting. The guy that sold, right, a previous customer. You know,
Yes,
higher
absolutely.
gross, much easier to sell and everything.
So let me ask you this then. Why don't we as an industry focus on that first and conquest second? And I think part of that is we take for granted. We take for granted that our previous customers are just going to automatically come back to us. We think we already got them, right?
Correct.
And let's face it, they need a little romance too.
Right, exactly. And you know, previous customers are so easy. They have all this data in their DMS, right? And with the clickable dashboard, I did a live, I believe it was yesterday, right? And we went over the whole dashboard. It actually scrubs all this data and puts it in a format for your sales department to follow it up. It lets them know when that customer's available, okay? And we can set it up because we get any API, no problem. We get all these APIs and start triggering out email campaigns. You can start building funnels with it. We have the technology. It's tremendous amount of technology. And you know, Infusionsoft, using Infusionsoft technology with our dashboard, it's another API. We can set up that whole platform for a dealership, and it's like tremendous amount. You're reaching out to all your customers. Not only that, we all know that service is a tremendous ROI. There's customers that go to your service department, go once or twice, and don't go back there. Now, here's the problem. These customers get warranty work, there's recall work, there's all that, and we're not doing anything to get these customers. Well, with the clickable technology, with our dashboards, we're able to go in there and get those customers back in the door. And that's key.
And let's face it, we all, by now, most of us in the car business have been around for a while, have recognized that keeping the customer coming into service is a much better way to ensure that they're going to buy their next vehicle from us than almost anything else we can do. One of the single greatest points of defect, if you look at all the research, you know, where are the defection points? Where are we losing customers as a dealer? One of the things we lose customers is when that customer starts servicing the car somewhere else. And one of those, you know, we all know one of those big ones is, and this is a sore subject for some people, is tires. You know, if the customer keeps the car long enough to go buy tires, if they don't come back to you as a dealer for those tires, that might be their first trip outside of the dealership. They go to Firestone, they buy tires. The next thing you know, we never see them again. So absolutely, there's so much to be done with fixed operations, and not from the standpoint of just the profits from fixed ops, which are great. That's certainly motivation enough. But we know that if a customer continues to get their car serviced in our service department, we've got a 5 times greater chance of having an opportunity to sell them their next car. So, you know, service is really sales. Selling service leads to retention for sales.
You know, here in this market, what happens is you got a lot of lease. Your lease penetration here is 85, 95%. So what happens? Customers only come in for an oil change, and they can go to an oil change anywhere else. But in reality, there's warranty work. These cars are out there that need warranty work. So they got to stay in the customer out there. They got to get this customer back into that showroom and get warranty work, because that's a big percentage.
There's a huge problem right now when you look at the percentage of completions on recall work. Unfortunately, you have manufacturers out there that are 40%, 45% in terms of the recalls being executed. Honda's the only one who's really grabbed onto that, and they've got recall execution rates north of 90%, which is outstanding, and it also shows us that it's possible. So I do believe that whether it be technical service bulletins, TSBs, recalls, that's a great way to get the customer into the dealership and really treat them like a VIP so that they come back for their customer pay services as well. But there's a huge opportunity out there in recalls. And you want to talk about conquest? How about people that bought cars outside of your market, but they're in your area of responsibility, so they're listed on your dealership's recall list because their residence is in your market. Okay, even though they bought the car from one of your competitors, it's a great opportunity to get them into your dealership and ensure that the next time they buy a car that you have another shot at them, and they don't default just to that selling dealer. So I see a lot of opportunity in the database mining around incomplete recalls as well.
You know, it's funny you should mention that because there's a dealership here in town, and he's a Chrysler store, and he will not service a customer that didn't buy a car from him.
Why?
Exactly. I've been dealing with this guy for a long time. He's a good friend of mine. He will not service. As a matter of fact, one of my partners.
He have so much service business he can't handle it.
I mean, one of my good friends that has a catering hall. All right, a real good friend of mine. I refer him 3 years ago. He tells me, "Hey, Rich, I got a problem with the Jeep, this, that." So I send him over there, and the guy tells me, "Richie, I can't help him." I said, "Why?" Because he didn't buy the car from me. And this is the owner telling me. I said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I get a lot of problems with the dealer that refuses to service cars bought elsewhere, not the least of which is, why not? It's such a great opportunity to get a customer. But also there's
customer will never buy a car from him in his life.
Like, in your dealer agreement, you promise the manufacturer you're going to service the cars. So there's a lot of I don't understand why a dealer would do that unless they're so overwhelmed with service. Which, back to the recalls, I've seen situations where the recalls, they can only handle so many a day, and there's so many coming in, especially with those Takata airbag recalls. So I could see maybe a situation where you put people on hold. You say, I can't handle you for another week, but to just turn them away because they bought the car somewhere else. No, in fact, you know what I've done? The last time I was a general manager at a store, I've had times where if a customer buys a car somewhere else, we're trying to get their business, I'll tell them, I'll say, you know what? Bring your car to me for service, and I'll pick up the tab. Just to show you there's no hard feelings, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to earn your business next time. I've done that, where I give them service because they bought the car somewhere else, and I'm trying to get them back. Customers are worth too much money to just throw them away like that.
Way too much money. Right now on Google AdWords, it's $950, $1,000 a customer. That's right now. These dealers are spending crazy. I mean, I got a Mitsubishi store, right, that I heard that's spending about $45,000 to $50,000.
How many cars do they sell?
He's doing about 45 cars or 50. That's way out of control.
It's a car.
That's exactly, and that's what they're doing. And you know what? I'm going to talk to you about something. What they're not concentrating is on review marketing. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I have a partner.
Review, it's so important. Richie, let's face it. We got to the dealers need to pull their head out of the sand and stop talking about how much they hate Yelp or how much they hate when their Google reviews disappear overnight. We need as an industry to embrace review marketing. And I've been there. I've worked in some of my client stores where we do turn it around, and it's very rewarding for the dealer. It really is, because most dealerships can actually be pillars of the community when it comes to review marketing. Let's face it, when a customer spends the kind of money they spend on a car, it's a lot easier to get them to review a $50,000 purchase than it is to get them to review, a $5 purchase from Amazon or something. So we need to embrace review marketing as an industry. We should not look at it as, oh, these are all the crybabies. I mean, I've heard it all.
Correct.
Nobody pays attention to them. First and foremost, people do pay attention to them, more so now than ever, and it's not going away. Reviews are being relied upon by more and more consumers, and what many dealers don't realize is reviews are used to eliminate dealers. So in other words, they never even get the opportunity to pitch the customer or propose the customer or respond to a lead, because the customer reads a bad review on that dealership and says, oh, not that one. That one's eliminated. So you don't even know when reviews are hurting you as a dealer. So you need to turn it around so that the reviews are helping you. We need to be proactive about it. And it works. I mean, for example, you're talking about your product. I'm sure there's a way to set it up so that we can invite customers to do reviews by email.
Well, my product is totally different. I have a product that's a video review. So right in the showroom, you tell the customer, Mr. Jones, would you be okay with giving me a review? Now, what happens? If the customer says no to you, you know at that time that that customer is going to give you a bad review. So at that time in the showroom, you might as well handle it. It's called So Tell Us, okay? So Tell Us. Now, you have this app and you take a video, right? And you put it on your website. Now that customer is there, right? Now it goes all over the place, right? It's a video review platform.
Well, see, right away, I can tell you, I love the video review of the customer because it's so much more believable. And I'll tell you, there's a big independent used car dealer in Denver, Colorado, that they did cards where the customers hand write the reviews. And what they would do is they'd scan these cards and they'd load them up on the websites as images. And the impact of seeing all the different handwriting and everything, the reason why that worked was it was authentic, it was believable, it was genuine. And this nice thing about video reviews, and I have seen video reviews. In fact, the last dealer that I worked with in Southern California, some of the salespeople were doing video reviews at time of delivery, and they are so believable. They're genuine, they're authentic, and it's pretty tough for the customer to change their mind or go against themselves because they're looking at themselves on video. With what they said about how great the service was at the dealership. So I love video anything. Video reviews, I think, would be even more powerful than anything else when it comes to reviews.
Well, the beauty about it is the video is very easy to go on Google. It's real easy, right? And this is a great platform. I'm actually going to send you the link after the show so you take a look at it. It's because it's right in the showroom. You know, when reviews first started coming out, dealers, you know how dealers are, they always look for an out on something. They wanted to log in and for the customer to give them the review right there, but that couldn't happen with Yelp because of the API and all this stuff, you know? So that couldn't happen. So all these review platforms came up, but this thing, you can get a review in the showroom. Mr. Jones, would you mind giving me a review? This is my report card. And you go right there on that platform, and it's an app, and they give you a review. Customer says no, you better try to find out what the problem is before that customer leaves the showroom.
Of course.
And now you're being proactive, so now your reviews are gonna go higher. You know, there's nothing wrong. You know, like I've always done, and you know me for a while, I always start the deal with a no, right? I'd rather start the deal with a no than a yes, because a no, I can handle. A yes. When somebody tells me yes, I say, what the hell's this going on? There's something wrong, right? A no, I know how to deal with it.
Hidden objection when there's a no.
Right. So there's a no, it's good, because the no, you handle it with a why, and you ask questions, that's how you deal with it, right? So that's great that you have that, because now you train your salespeople on how to deal with it, and then you start using review management and review marketing, and wow, that's just another channel. Like there's YouTube, there's Google, there's Facebook, there's all these different channels that it's much, much more feasible than Google.
Well, not only that, but let's face it. Hey, we all love ourselves. If you're in the car business and you're successful, you have an ego, because you would never prosper in a business if you're a wallflower. However, as difficult as this is to believe, the customers would rather see other customers telling them about your dealership than yourself. Now, I want to talk about my dealership, but there's nothing more credible than a customer saying, hey, we went in there, we had a difficult situation, these guys made it work, we got the car that we wanted, the payments that we wanted, nobody else could help us. These are very compelling types of reviews. So anything that brings us video recorded customer reviews for a dealership, I'm all for. And let's face it, we all know that video is SEO magic.
Right. And the beauty about this, all these testimonials can go on your website, video testimonials. So what happens is when Google bots gets them, your site's going to bounce up.
Oh yeah,
they're all videos, and they're video reviews, and at the same time testimonials. So it's beautiful.
Richie, what's the difference between a review and a testimonial?
Really nothing. It's the same thing.
I'm sitting there going, Is it a review? Is it a testimonial? If it's good and it's on video, give me it. I want it. And
Right.
We're going to put it all over the place. We're going to put it on social media. We're going to put it on the dealer's website. As far as I'm concerned, customers saying good things about a dealership, we can never get too much of that.
Right.
Being exposed.
And you know, Ralph, since you're out there, I wanted to touch a point with you. The last show I had, right, I saw a Manheim report how inventory has really gone up, this pre-owned inventory, really, really high. Now, with the clickable dashboard, right, first of all, we teach you how to manage your inventory. Turning your inventory in the car business every 30 days to 60 days is key because we're dealing in cars depreciate. Unfortunately, cars depreciate, right? So with clickable, our automated system, after the 30 days, will push that car directly into Facebook, right? In your Facebook with your audience that you've put together, does it automatically. Whatever ad, however you have it on your website. So what I tell dealers, before the 30 days to 4 or 5 days, whatever you want to promote, that's how it'll push it right to your Facebook, right?
Yeah.
It does it automatically.
That makes sense.
And it does it to Google too. So automatically, just because you get the dashboard, you also get this automated system where your people in the place, you don't have to have them do it. It automatically just pushes it. It automatically pushes it to Google.
A lot of us are doing that manually, Richie. So anytime we can take something we do manually and automate it like that, it's improved efficiencies. It's improved productivity. One of the things that really pains me, because it seems like people in our business don't understand this or don't acknowledge it, is everybody that works in the dealership, they have a certain amount of production capacity each day. They can only make so many phone calls. They can only take care of so many customers. They can only fix so many cars. They can only write up so many customers in the service drive. And we really have to take a look at, not only are we maximizing what they do, but are we putting more on their plate than what they can reasonably be expected to do, and then wondering why they don't get it done. So a lot of times with follow-up, when it comes to these phone calls and targeting, specific customers, for follow-up activities, let's face it, that customer that walks into the showroom floor at that moment is going to always get the attention. And if you get enough of them, if our marketing does its job and we have enough traffic coming in, the salespeople have no time to do anything else other than take care of their customers coming in the showroom. Well, the same goes for marketing guys. I see this all the time. Dealers will have their marketing director, and they're working furiously to manage the Google AdWords account or manage, a supplier that they're using. Anytime, because everybody does this. You look at your overaged inventory, and you say, let's put it on special. Let's promote it. Let's put ads out there. So anything we can do to automate that, to get that programmatic advertising going, where we know that the oldest units are getting the priority on the ad spend, I think is a plus.
And the other thing is we have the data part, right? So what happens with the audience, with the custom audience, we go to your DMS or we go to your data with the clickable technology and we match those customers to Facebook custom audience.
Yeah. Oh, I love Facebook custom audience.
So we match that. So now, let's say the customer's lease is up within 3 months. We start promoting that also, and that becomes automated. That just pushes out the car automated. So we do two. We do the custom audience, and then we do the regular push, the regular audience from Facebook. So, I mean, we have this clickable, we have the data, which now it's called, it's called big data, because big data is it right now. And managing that big data and having a solution for marketing with big data, it's, you know what I'm saying, it's a win-win.
Well, if you ever want to see, it's really interesting to see a dealer's reaction to this. You log into the Facebook advertising app, and you go to the part where you're targeting your audience, and you start clicking and expanding some of those categories, and it's pretty amazing. For example, I've seen it where we pick out people who work at a particular employer in a market, in the dealer's market,
right?
And then we craft a message that is for employees of that particular company. And people really pay attention to it. People will place a lot more focus on an ad that says, employees of General Dynamics conveyor division, for a dealer in San Diego, for example, and they can't help themselves because they work there. They're proud of where they work, and they see the ad and it draws their attention to it. Personalization, the hard part about personalization, Richie, is who's got time to do it, right?
Right.
So you start talking about these the ability to create programmatic advertising, which targets specific customers with a specific message in a specific region and at the right time of the year, month, whatever day, whatever the case may be. I think you're getting that efficiency that is missing when we feel like we've got the chaos. I know a lot of dealers right now where they have somebody doing their pay-per-click. They got another place doing some SEO work for them. They got another place doing social media because the OEM told them they had to do social media. It goes on, but it's all disparate, not talking to each other. And really, there's no single person who understands the whole mess because it's all split off into these silos. So anytime you get to work with a supplier like you're referencing, where you can have multiple approaches automated on the same dashboard, for example, I think is introducing some sanity into the chaos and some organization into what can appear to be very scattered and chaotic.
And I think it's really, really important. With these dealers, there's so much data flying around in a dealership, and they don't know what to do with it. And it's
focus on what's important.
It's
too much data to look at all of it.
It's crazy, and with the review management and the review marketing, nobody's doing that in our business. But there's other industries that are doing this and are becoming very, very successful. The real estate business right now is doing this review. You got to see this real estate business, what they're doing with these reviews. They're like really doing it up.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, like the car business, real estate is something you do intermittently in the course of your life, and it's a major purchase on your part. It is in most cases the largest purchase. So yeah, seeing some other people like you talking about a real estate agent is going to make it a lot easier for you to trust that agent and select that agent to either list or represent you on the buy side. I've always seen there's so many similarities between the real estate business and the car business. They have franchises. You hang a sign up in front, but it's really up to the local operator to build his business, just like it is for a dealership. And today, if you don't use technology as a dealer to really streamline and allow you to be more effective without introducing increased complication. See, I believe technology for our dealerships should actually make it simpler, make it easier to get organized, make it more efficient, more effective, have the reporting be more in line with, I'm looking at the same reports for these multiple different channels, then all these different reports that don't even look like each other and measure different numbers and different metric points. You talked about big data. The challenge with big data is everybody says the same thing. Gee, that's great. We can get all this information on these customers. What do I do with big data? And that's where the programmatic advertising or the automation is going to come into play. That's what you do with big data. Use big data to introduce some organization and some streamlining to what can be a disjointed and chaotic process otherwise.
That's what I want to give you a demo after this when you have time, and I want to get. Yeah. And I want to get Brent, that's really good with the dashboard, and give you a demo about our dashboard with Valvoline and different other companies that we have to show you what we do with big data, how we just bring everything together.
When you describe your dashboard, it reminds me of some of your competitors that are in the car business that focus specifically on the car business. So I'm fascinated to see what you do. And because out of respect for your show, I'm not going to name those competitors, but anybody in the business knows who we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I've worked for Reynolds and Reynolds. I've worked for ADP, now CDK. They have competing products. There's a lot of room for inventing a better mousetrap when it comes to dashboards. The thing to remember about dashboards is you should only be using one. I've been in dealerships where they use half a dozen dashboards, and you kind of wonder, oh my God, how do you keep this straight?
Right. The sales managers today, right? And the GSMs today, it must be really hard if they don't have one single dashboard to just monitor everything. Because I can't imagine myself being a sales manager, and I got to look at this, and I got to look at that, and I got to look at all these different platforms they have. Because when I was a desk man and a sales manager, the only thing I concentrated on selling cars. I had an assistant. That's all I concentrated on, right? Just desking deals and taking customers and counting how many customers in my showroom through my eyeballs and really managing a sales floor. Now, imagine I've gone into showrooms where the owner's there. I need this report. I need that report. I need this. He's got to log into so many different platforms. Yeah. So what he does best is monitor and run a sales department. He's not doing that no more.
Well, yeah, and then here's what happens. So you have your DMS. So your DMS has various customizable reports and various dashboards you can use. Then you've got the manufacturer, if you're a new car franchise dealer, and they have their own dashboards and tracking systems. You know, a Toyota Dealer Daily or General Motors, global workbenches, or the Ford system, fmcdealer.com. So as a sales manager, you have to use these manufacturer supply tools. You have to use these DMS supply tools, because that's how you're going to get the most accurate transactional data about where you're making money in the dealership. And so there's a certain amount of multiple hats you're going to have to wear to be a manager today.
Right.
What you got to focus on, though, is not making it worse by throwing in other dashboards and systems unless there's significant value from using them.
Right, correct.
I've often said, if we could just get something that would pull in, say, the OEM data from their dashboard and pull in the data from the DMS so that I've got it all in one place to look at. The Penske Auto Group, for example, they've tried to do that. They have a single dashboard that their general managers use, but they still, regardless of what anybody says, still a lot of manual data entry going on into that system as well.
Yeah, so it slows the process.
Yeah, anytime you have manual data entry, you're going to have errors, mistakes, and possibly, exclusions. I love it when in the old days when we used to ask for a closing ratio on leads, and you'd say, "Wow, that's pretty strong. You got a 20% closing ratio. Great." And then they say, "Well, keep in mind that's the closing ratio on valid leads." Well, what do you mean valid leads? Well, those are the ones where we can get a hold of the customer. Really? So if the customer doesn't answer the phone, it's not a valid lead? Nah, we don't want those. So, that's and the point I'm trying to make is with reporting and metrics, you got to make sure that this is not something where somebody's using their judgment where that month they're going to kick out all these or include this or add that. It needs to be automated so it's done the same every month so you're comparing data. One of the biggest things that we get in this business, Rich, is we get people saying, well, what's a good closing rate? What's a good effective labor rate? They all want to compare themselves to other dealers. The real important part on any dashboard performance metrics is to make sure you're trending in the right direction. Wherever you're at today, we need to do better. And as you do better, you need to do better than that. It doesn't matter what the metrics are from other dealers. And I know people will take issue with that and they'll argue with me on it. But realistically, in the reality of running a dealership today, we want to do better today than we did yesterday. We want to do better in January, or I should say February of 2018 than we did in February of 2017. And who do we want to do better than? Ourselves. We need to be comparing our data against our historical data for our own operations. We know how it was measured. We know if we're still measuring it the same. It's comparable data. It's apples and apples. So, systems like what you're referring to, your dashboard, if nothing else, if you keep it long enough, it's going to provide you with historical data where you can see where you should be and what is improving as opposed to going in the wrong direction.
All right, Ralph, it was great having you on the show, and it's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah,
like always, and thanks a lot for your time. I know your time is very valuable. I'm so impressed that you've given us this time today, and have a great weekend, Ralph.
Thank you very much, Richie.
Well, that's it for this installment of Auto Dealer News. I'm Jill Nicolini, and we'll see you next time right here on Richie Bello TV.